All right, let's get to it.
All right, welcome to a new project in woodwork. I know what you're thinking, and this doesn't look like wood. You're absolutely right. This is a leather belt project we're going to be doing. We're actually going to do some woodwork on this as well. This is a standard buckle that I have on this particular belt, but we are going to be making our own wooden belt buckles with this piece of steel, sort of trucker buckle style deal as the backing, and then we're going to be completely creative and we're going to make our own wooden buckle that's going to go on the front of this. So think outside the box, think, you know, knots or epoxy resin or, you know, straight grain pieces, like I've got a Douglas fir one here. Like whatever you want, you're only limited by your own imagination when it comes to this. We're going to do some hand tool woodwork stuff for making a belt buckle. But for now, the first thing we need to do is prep our leather straps. You guys all have your leather straps that you've been given. And we've trimmed off the ends because where the hide kind of trails off, we start getting some thinness and some wrinkly going on around like where the neck or the legs might be. So that needs to get trimmed off. So once we have that, it's time to start dealing with the edge. You guys see on this belt here, it's got a pretty polished, smooth edge on it. Like this rivals anything I think that you'd buy at a store. It's a pretty professional quality. So we want to kind of do the same thing. We want to deal with this rough edge. The first thing we're going to do is one of these guys right here. This is called an edge beveler. And I have a few of them. There's numbers on them. This is a number 2. The larger the number, the larger the edge bevel becomes. Okay, so we're going to take our strap, hold it in place on your workbench, and then just take your edge beveler and just run it along. Just like that. So now we have just sort of eased corners on our belt strap. Okay, so that's all we need the edge beveler for. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to go to some sandpaper. This is 220 grit, and I've got a bunch of that for you guys. We're going to fold it up so you just have a nice little application pad, like a tiny little piece like this. And as it wears, we're going to flip it and fold it and turn it inside out and stuff like that. But that's going to be our little pad, and we're going to sand this. And I kind of hold the strap sort of in my armpit like this so I can keep it tight. And we're just going to sand it in one direction, just like this. And this does take a little bit of time. Okay, so we're just wanting a nice uniform, smooth, grain texture that all goes one way. Now what we're going to do is actually take a little cup of water, and we're going to wet this. We're going to wet this down. It helps the grain of the leather all stay down instead of feeling real fuzzy. This helps the sanding out a lot. Okay, we're going to switch to 600 grit. And again, we're going to fold this up. Okay, there's our 600 grit paper. We've got our leather edge that's nicely wet down. Doesn't have to be soaked, but you do want it to. Same direction. And you guys will spend a bit of time doing this. Like to do your whole strap, it's going to take you a few classes to do this well. So the next step then is we're going to put some dye on here. This is an option you don't have to do. I have a little bit of mahogany dye here in this special dye pen. Let's give it a little shake. This is a super, super easy way to dye the edge of your leather. What you don't want to do is have the dye, again, run down onto the face. You only want to keep it really nice and tidy, like right along the edge. So we're just gonna just literally color it on. Just along the edge. And this particular dye matches the color of the leather more or less, but I have some darker dye as well if you wanted to make it kind of stand out. Okay, so there's that. That's our dye pen. And then we also have some beeswax. We're going to rub a little bit of beeswax on here. Rub some beeswax on the edge. And then we're going to take this guy here. This is called a slicker, and it's just a little wooden stick, and it has some notches in it. And we're going to sort of match the radius of the edge to our slicker. And same thing, kind of hold it tight in your armpit like this. And we're just going to rub it really firmly and quickly. We're going to try to get some heat built up in here and let that wax sort of melt into the edge of the leather. There we go. So now what we have is, actually that looks nice and glossy too, doesn't it? What we have is an edge that's smooth to the touch, like it's not fuzzy, and it's also going to be really durable. That's going to hold up to weather and all that kind of stuff. Okay, so that's what we're looking for. So remember, edge beveler, some water, 220 grit, 600 grit, the dye, the beeswax, and the slicker. All right, that's all the stuff that you're going to need for this. And this whole belt, this should take you guys should be working on this probably for at least 2 classes to do the entire belt pretty well. Sound good? Okay, that's first step done.